Hello and welcome along to Mondo Chelloveck Movies. My name is John, and this video is going to be a bit of a blast from the past. So when I started this channel way back in 2020, one of the first things I showed was my Action Comics, which was the only comic to be banned in the 1970s. And it was a kids comic, and it caused a big fuss when it came out because it got so violent, and they had to just, well, the powers that be stepped on it and banned it, and it came back in the shadow of its former self. And coming out this year is a book that showcases the first 12 issues of the pre-ban action. So what I'm going to do on this video is I'm going to show you the first two actions downstairs so you can see them up close. And I will leave links to where you can buy this book from. And also, it's on pre-order now. I think you can get two versions of it. And also, I'll put a link down below to my video that I did showcasing the first 20 action pre-bans. And this is one of my first videos I ever did, and it's from 5 years ago. So don't be surprised if you see me looking a lot younger. So anyway, let's take a look at the first two actions, and there will be more of these to come in the future. So, Action is the paper of the 70s. So I'll show you this first before I go through the comics individually. And also, I'll just show you this here. This is the Action Summer Special from 1976. This is the only pre-ban Action Summer Special. So it's got all the gore in it. And also, this is the Action Annual from 1977. This is the only pre-ban Action Annual that there is, even though they went on for quite a few years after this, even after the whole thing was finished, the whole Action comic was finished. So those will be coming up on a future episode, but I just wanted to bring you in to say there's plenty more of these going to come when I go into this further. So this would have been given away free in another comic. I'm guessing something like Whizzer and Chips or something like that, or even Monster Fun. So I've got all these carded. If you've got Action Comics, it's always best, or anything to do with action, or anything to do with comics, it's always great to keep these things carded. So it's great to have these protected, but be very careful when you're taking these out, because sometimes this strip sticks to the things here and you don't want that to happen. But when I got this one and I've kept it in here, it has remained in the perfect condition of what it was in. So it says something special, something different is going to happen. Its name is Action. And this is the sheet or the advertisement, the 4-page advertisement for Action. As I said on the video before, when I filmed it 5 years ago, can you believe it? This was meant to be on sale Saturday, February the 17th, and it didn't. It came out a week later on February the 14th, which I think is brilliant actually, because to put the 7-penny Nightmare out on Valentine's Day was a stroke of genius for me. The new boys' paper of the 70s, and that is the cover of Action number 1. I mean, when you look at covers when they came out, this one was like no other. I keep talking about it, but you had to be there to understand this. And it says, this is the free gift. This free gift is for you. And I said on that, I'm going to name check some of the things I did see on that. You get this, you put it in an elastic band, twang, gone. You would never see it again. That's why there's not many of these left, I tell you. But you can still probably get them off eBay, but God knows how much they are now. Because when I made that first video 5 years ago, it was big money then. God knows what it's like now. It does say, you've never seen stories like these before, and they couldn't have said a truer word. And I don't know if it's got something to do with rights, probably has, everything else has. If they could get the story of Hookjaw and they could make it a film, it would be the best, apart from Jaws, it would be the best shark film of all time, well, a series. They could get quite a few episodes out of it. And I tell you what, Jaws 3 is a carbon copy of some of the storyline in here, and this was out first. That's all I'm going to say with that. Action is the paper of the 70s. And this tells you on week 2, you will get Hookjaw, you will get a free gift with that, which I'll show you in more detail. Then week 3 was the cards I used to get, the football cards. I never had any of them. I did have the Red Devil. I had 2 of them, as I said in the previous video, but I let them go because, as with most things that had these highly collectible stuff, I did put them in sale, which I wish I hadn't done, to get the money together for my drum kit, which is £2,000. If I hadn't paid the £2,000 up front after a year, I had a year to save it up, it would have meant that I would have paid back about £6,500 for them, which there's no way I could have done that. Would have broke my heart. It was bad enough paying the £2,000, but with all these things I sold, I managed to get the money quite comfortably. So it might have meant I could have kept some of this stuff. But well, shoulda, woulda, coulda. But you've got these things where you had these things you used to take out, which I'll show you a bit more about. I've talked about in that video. Do get down to that video, because on this one, I'm kind of browsing through it. I'm just really showing you them, just having a little bit of a talk about them so you can see them up close and personal, where I'll go into more detail on that one that was from 5 years ago. You've got this Magnum Force game. You'll have the first part of that, but the only problem is, as I've said, you take away the middle pages, and when you do that, you kind of ruin the comic. But when you were young, you just did these things. You didn't really think too much about it. You never thought about keeping them. You just watched them until you would read them until they dropped the bits, and then it was you done with them. You couldn't really get back copies of it. You couldn't send away anywhere to get an old copy of Action. The best thing about eBay, when I was on eBay ages ago, is because they were on there, and I was able to get myself a full collection. I did have most of them, but I was able to get the collection of the things I didn't have, or the things that were ropey, and I was able to get magnificent copies, as you'll see when you see them up close, that they are pretty good. And like I say, these things were out in 1976. So these things coming up are 49 years old. And remember, when these things came out, it was like a one shot and done. That week when they were sold, that was them gone. So the fact that they still remain is just absolutely incredible. So that's what you would get. You would get week 2, you get the patch or the transfer, which never worked. You would get the Magnum Force game, you get the free cards, which would be, I think you get a pack of 4 or 6, and there was 3 or 4 packs you could get. So you'd have to buy that comic quite a few times to get the different ones. So imagine that this one was a big seller, even though the cover of it, I feel, isn't the best cover. So that's the free thing you would get in a comic. A good little addition, I find. If you can find them, I don't know if people sell these on eBay, but if you get, say, like Whizzer and Chips, and any comic that's around about there, around about February 1976, there's a good bet that you've got some of these advertisements in it. But it's great to have that. So here is Action number 1, February the 14th, 1976, 7p every Monday. I don't know why the first one was going to come out on Saturday, but yeah. And I do recommend you getting these carded, get these tapes. They've got to, do be careful when you take the comic out, you don't want to catch it with it. But these are, I don't know what it is. I mean, the best thing about them, best thing about these is that I've got them. I've been able to put them into this. I've been able to put them in this it's called, I think it doesn't react. It's got no acid in it. I think that's what it, acid free. You can get them with vinyls as well for your protection with them. And these ones are great. And once you put them in here and you house them in a box, they're good to go. This will stay like this literally forever. And as you can see, the colours on here are good as well. There's been no fading, as I would say. There's not much foxing on there at all. These ones are in absolutely, well, I would say, for the fact that, like I say, 49 years old, these are pretty mint. So what I wasn't able to do on the previous videos, I wasn't able to do this shot over the top. This is why I've done it this way. And I'm interested to go through all of these as well. There is a thing I want to do with Hookjaw. I want to do a sort of timeline of Hookjaw, which I don't think has ever been done before, but I'm going to have to really seriously dig into these to find out what it's all about. Because Hookjaw, this is the first appearance of Hookjaw, but don't forget that Hookjaw's backstory is in this one. It's like a prequel, but this was maybe came out when Action was maybe 25 copies in. So you got like a prequel, which is a good thing to have. So the story started there. Look out, Action is deadly. The best thing about this comic, and I know it's only a comic, but when you are having the fact of getting this thing and you're looking at your Monster Fun, your Whizzer and Chips, your, what's it called? Summit and Shake, Scream and Shake, I think it was. I don't think that's right. And, you've got your Marvel comics. This was just completely different. The fact of these stories, this here, Dredger, you would think he's a bit like a Dirty Harry character, because what they would do is they would just look at the films that were out at this point, and anything that was good, they would just make a storyline in it, like Jaws, obviously, for Hookjaw. This is kind of like, I'm going to say, a bit like a Dirty Harry thing, although it's set in England. Now, as I've said before, These are going to come out again, and I think they're going to come out, well, this year. I'm not too sure of the month. I'll have it all, descriptions up there that will tell you all about. I've probably told you at the start of this video anyway. And this will be, because I'm doing this bit before I do the start of it and the end of it. So I'm going to drop it in and then make the video up fully. This here is, these are going to get reprinted. Now, I don't know how many are going to get reprinted in this particular hardback edition. I don't know if they're going to be colorized. If this is all colorized, it would be brilliant. It's probably going to be, the stuff's going to be black and white in this hardback book. But I think I might get it because I do like looking through these. But if I can get a hardback book, a compendium, as it were, and I could look through that and save these like the way they are now, that's the way I would love to do it. So that's the first one of Dredger. Great. Look, some of the things here has got, violence in it, which you never saw. Well, I'd never seen in the comic before. Next is Hellman of Hammer Force. Now, what they did with this one is that they took the side of the Germans. Now, this Hellman, he was, well, obviously he's a German Panzer commander, and he, in Hammer Force, he went around and he was fighting the other side. He was on the German side, but you kind of empathise with him because he was fighting what he thought was for the right reason, and he wasn't, really like a really bad German. That's the way I'm going to put that one. But these, he was at loggerheads with the, the SS and all that, the bad stuff. And he just really was like a bit of a rogue, and that was the best thing about Hammer, even though you're watching something from the other person's side, which I thought was always a bit different to think, well, hang on a minute, why would you even do that? But there's a reason behind it. It's quite a clever strip that actually. It's got more, there's more about it than most of them are. It's not like a throwaway strip. Then you've got Blackjack, who he had a style and a hard punch. Too bad he was going blind. But what happened was, he was in this fight, good fighter. I'm really into boxing anyway, and the fact he had this strip with this boxer. Now, what he did was, he got into this fight and he got blinded, although it's probably not coming up in this one, although he said he's having problems with his eyes in this one. He's winning fights, but it's a really good story, Blackjack. And Blackjack Baron, I think he's called, he would then, in future episodes, he would get to be, he goes blind because he's been punched too many times. That's his injury from boxing. But he becomes, like I say, a vigilante, which is great, isn't it? What a way to do it. You've got these things, you've got these, guess what? What do you think that is? And it tells you at the end of it what it is. Looks like a spaceship or some kind of monster. You got Action Mouse. There's a little thing there to say, want to get something off your chest, just write into us. So that's probably where the letters section come from. Play Till You Drop. I was never a fan of football comic strips. This one's got some good stuff in it, but it's not really my kind of thing. And I don't think this lasted for very long. I think what they did is when they started off, they wanted to get like a bit of everything in it. Because, football is huge. It's always been huge. But, Roy of the Rovers and that. But this one here, it didn't last that long as far as I know. What happens is, you see him getting impaled there with the gaffer. It goes through his jaw and snaps off, and he becomes Hookjaw. This starts off with this oil rig. Just like I say, this whole gore and carnage is... When you saw this, you just couldn't believe what you're seeing, because as Jaws was a great film, and it is quite gory considering them snapping the gaffer off, and he's got the hooks in his jaw forevermore. The brute spitting Wagner's legs off. It's funny when you used to have these things where someone used to say, hey, guess, just like point and say, oh, that bloke has just been shot, as if you would say that. But this was great, and the fact that this was in colour was, when Hookjaw strikes, you only scream once. And as I go through these, you'll see what happens with these characters. But there's usually a little bit of a tail here, and usually the bad guy gets it. But Hookjaw, kind of like think of Jaws the Revenge, where the Jaws is, the shark is out for revenge on people. Hookjaw, when he got impaled off that gaffer stick, he seems to be after everybody. mean, why wouldn't he be after they've done that to him? He's kind of indestructible. He got a lot of different things happen to him. He changes quite a lot in these strips. This one here, he's only got the hook in and nothing else at this point. You get things like this Les Collins, Tip to Ride for England, a lot of things to do with motorbike and people who are doing scrambling. It was a huge thing in the 70s where these motorbike and scrambling things was, what was it called? I'm sure there was a thing with bike races who, when they used to go around scramble courses, used to be on a Sunday night. It was brilliant. Used to love it. Sports Not for Losers. They called Glenn Walker a slob, and they were right. So I think this was a bloke who just didn't, he was good at what he did, but he didn't really assert himself to being the best at what he was. And obviously can lay about Len, kick the smoking habit. Maybe it's one of those ones, it's like a bit of a trying to get you on the right path as a young kid, maybe. This is another one called the Coffin Sub. This was my least favourite when I talked about in the video. This is my least favourite one out of all of them. But on reflection, when I've watched it, when I've looked at it, it doesn't go on for very long, but I kind of really did enjoy it. It's got more to it than I thought. Plus it's got sinking ships and whatnot. So set in the Second World War. But not a bad strip, even though I didn't like it at all. And it says next week you're going to get trapped in a diving bell and outside Hookjaw is waiting. You've got the Running Man. Now, the Running Man was a great strip. Used to like that one. Blackjack's down in the most savage fight of his career. That's probably where he got blinded. And you've got coming soon Magnum Force game, which would have been out in Comic 3. Comic 3, Issue 3. There's Steve McManus. Now I think he's still with us, and I think he's on Facebook, and I think he does still talk about his time. He's probably on YouTube as well. If I find a video of him, I will link it down below. He probably talks about his time in action. And there's Running Man. Make me a man who looks like my son, then kill him. Oh, is it about somebody who I think gets his face? I think this bloke's a wrong'un. So this other fella gets his face plastic surgery to look like this fella, and everyone's chasing him. I think that's what happens, yeah. Yeah, that's right, yeah. So he comes out, he looks like that bloke, and then everyone's going for him. This fella's son gets away with everything. Warning to nervous readers, don't buy Action. Amazing. And there you go. That's see, it's coming up with the free stickers there. And you also get the Hookjaw transfer. That's in issue 2. Issue 2, the 21st of February 1976. What a cover this is. As I've said on the video down below, this was the first one I ever bought. I did know that Action 1 was out there, and when I seen this, which was, it didn't really say, did it say number 2 in here? I'm not too sure. You had to just guess what the title was. There was no numbers apart from it had number 1 on number 1. This was the first one I saw in the shelves, and I thought, I have got to get this. And I did go back and buy number 1 or read it with my friends' number 1s, and I was always jealous of them having that. And I used to think, oh, I wish I had that one. And it took us a while. I think I bought one. I swapped them loads of comics for the number 1. So I had number 1 after a while, but I don't think it was in very good condition because these things weren't in good condition. My number 2, I read it that much. It actually just fell to bits. So I probably still got it somewhere. Probably don't want to get rid of it, and nobody would buy it off us anyway because it's that tatty. But this one, I obviously went to eBay and I got like a lot of stuff, and I've redone most of my stuff, especially the ones that were the pre-cert ones, the fine paper ones, the fine grade ones, which is these ones. That's why these are in such good condition, because I definitely went and made sure that I went and bought the best ones that I could. It wasn't cheap, but I'm glad I did it because God knows how much it is now. I haven't bought or sold Action comics for a long time, and I would like to think that they were the same price as when I bought them, but I would bet you that nothing like that. So first of all, what I'll do is I'll tell you about this, the free gift there. Free inside. Now this isn't the one, but this is a copy of it. Now, this, I think you can get one.
you could get one from this person, and it did have the hook put in it, although, as you know, it didn't have the hook on it in this one. Now this, I'm led to believe, and I would never use it, you can't put this on a t-shirt and you can't have this on your t-shirt. Now I know, I'd said it on the video, that when I put it on, my mum ironed it on, it lasted for precisely one wash, so maybe a couple of days later or a couple of times later after I wore it and loved it, it says, oh, there was just nothing left of it. Gutted? You bet. So I think I bought this off eBay for £5. Don't know if this is still a thing you can get. I would imagine you can't. So anyway, that's quite a good thing to have, because I've never had, I know you can sometimes get them with Action number 2 with the free transfer in it, but I bet you it would cost a fortune. Actually, I haven't looked at them for a while on eBay. I don't know what, I dare to think what these prices are like on these now, especially with all the free gifts in it. So now in the Actions, these are starting to show that when the first one, when I'm talking about this is what we're going to do, send these in for this, for readers' letters, for Twitter of the week, you would see them all starting to come in now because they've got all that stuff back for it. So there's Dredger again. I think Dredger was really just like one story per week. But it was a good strip, it was really violent. Helmet of Hammer Force. Just things like that I used to love looking at that. Just violence. I mean, you know, it sounds a bit bad, but just the more violent it was, the better. And these things got really violent before it was banned. The last cover of it is insane, actually, to have this on a kid's comic, which has an emblem of, you know, the Germans, you know, the sign I'm talking about. Now, when I come to show that one, I think I did show that on my original ones, but maybe these days, well, I'm saying it was only 5 years ago, maybe these days you might not be able to do that sort of thing, although you're showing it in the right context, but yeah, you know what I mean. So here's Black Jack again. He slugged his way up. Now it looked like the only way was down. So he's been hit there, and he's getting this problem with his eyes coming up. So yeah, so he wins the fight, but I think what happens is he's starting to, I mean, he's a brute and he's a great boxer, but I think he's starting to go down the route of thinking, I can't see here. So there's the, oh, that's that one that I said, what is it? It was a close-up of a cat's eye in the road. Now that one there, I'll tell you what that is at the end of here. If you have a look at it, see what you think it is. Yeah, the answer last week, because they tell you last week, don't they, what it is. Cat's eye in the road. So I'll tell you at the end of this what it was. Play it to your drop. Not my favourite. I don't think it'll last for very long now. Look at this. When you see this, this was the first time I ever saw Hookjaw. And when you see this, yeah, that's Rick Mason there. What a character he was. You can't believe what you're seeing. So, I mean, look at that. It was just absolutely nuts. So this, for me, as I've said before, this is like, if you could do this story, because this story with the oil rig goes on for how many issues, and it's brilliant. I think they could have made the best ever Jaws movie, apart from Jaws, or franchise of films, Hookjaw films. It would be absolutely amazing, because all the stuff's laid out there. And if you can show things like that when it was on the screen, I mean, come on. What more could you want? There's some amazing panes in here. What do they call them? Panes or screens? Sections, maybe? I love that one as well. So someone's swimming there. Hope this is the way, because obviously it's swimming in the darkness, but you'll find that that's not the darkness. Now, Hookjaw is a huge shark. Now, a shark like this proportion doesn't happen. But the fact that it was this big made you, I mean, you didn't know what sharks were like, how big they were. When you saw Jaws, Jaws was massive. Obviously, it's not real to what the sharks are like. But you think that's what a shark looks like. And this was just, I mean, the artwork was fantastic. The storyline was fantastic. The gore was amazing. The pictures and everything about it. made me just fall in love with this character. And I couldn't move past it, you know, as you'll know from the post ban, when it got watered down. Oh, what a feeling that was. Sports not for losers, but unfortunately sports not for losers was not for me. Yeah, I think it's just like a morality tale of this fella who had all the skills but just didn't, you know, put the effort in. So Action Man would just do these strange things, which was like, I don't even know if he liked doing them. Like I say, there's got to be stuff online with him, and I think he's still with us as well. Don't forget, 49 years ago. Coffin sub. Her crew had died. Now her skipper lived, only to avenge them. Now, am I thinking that when this happened, that there would have been something that happened, so this fella went out to avenge his old crew members in this coffin sub, in this sub, but he didn't care less what happened. And I think his crew there were like, you know, just because you've got a death wish doesn't mean to say we have. I'm sure that's what it was about, in a way. I say these weren't like kiddie things. I know it's aimed at, you know, young kids, 7-year-olds and stuff like that, and all the 7-year-olds bought it. But I do think there's a lot more to it. It was a bit more highbrow than that, and the things were more, I think I was going to say intellectual, for want of a better word. Paul Day, England's next Chester Barnes, whoever Chester Barnes was. He is Runner Man again. It's a concrete jungle, and Carter's the hunted animal. Yeah, great, like I say, action in here. This would make an amazing film as well. Probably aimed off the film. I think there was a TV series, the Runner Man TV series. I'm sure that was kind of got from that. But when this bloke comes after him, this crazy Luigi with his axe, that's when these things start to get that hand in the piranha's tank. I don't know, it was just such a change and such a revelation to have these things and just think, what am I looking at here? As a young kid, I would imagine anybody at that age, I was 8, 7 when these came out. Yeah, 7. So it's 8 when these came out. It's just crazy to think that these were put out for kids. Well, that came to an end when it got banned. Yeah, so that's going to tell you that next week in Action 3, you get this game for Magnum Force, but unfortunately, this game would mean you would have to ruin your comics, and you got them free soccer superstars things, which I never got, even when I was collecting these again off eBay. To try and get all of them was really hard. Probably there was many people who had them, and if they had them, they weren't selling them either cheap or together. They would break them up, and that's so we'd actually spend like a lot more money. So that's Action 1 and 2. And on the next episode, we'll be going to Action 3 and Action 4. And the fact they're going to release this hardback book featuring all these action strips in there just makes this a good time to talk about them. So if you're wondering what the Action Comics is like, you will see them in this, this amazing strip, and you will not get a better comic than this, I feel, from that time. And the fact you've all got them all in one place is even better. So thanks for watching, you take care, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.